Thank you for attending the session that was on entrepreneurship skills. We got some questions from social media, from Zoom, and I asked the panelists to be so kind as to remain behind for 15 minutes to be able to answer some of the questions that you had. And the first question came from Fred Kinoti, and he asked everybody in the panel, but I'm going to throw these questions to you, Terian, and he asked, risk as an inevitable factor in any business or job should be anticipated and probably mitigated. How do you view risk, cope, and address risk?
Okay, first of all, I think risk comes in many ways, and it could come into any department, any side of the business, whether it is small, whether it's big. So I guess I would bounce back to the agility that Jesse talked about earlier. Be ready for it, because a business will always face so many different challenges. But if you put the structures in place, it will be easier for you to deal, with whatever is thrown your way. So making it formal from the beginning, coming up with, even having small strategy meetings with your little team or people who mentor you are very important in helping you understanding what kind of risks your kind of business will face and what are some of the things that you can do to avert it. So, making it as formal as possible, get a circle that are probably a bit more mature in that space to help you address those risks. And risks are fine. For me, and those that have come my way, they strengthen the business because I'll not go through it again. So, and I say, the sooner the risks come, the better, but they will always come. And have people who are a phone call away and say, this is what my business is going through, what can I do about it? So in a nutshell, that's what I would say.
Okay, thank you for that. The next question is from Brenda Kendi, and the question goes to you, Tracy. And she's asking, what are the challenges you face filming Fearless? And are you open to add some more potential individuals to your team? I think that's a pitch right there. And she says you're really inspirational, and she would love to know how you balance your time between school and work.
I'll start with the last part, which is how I balance. I think it's been very critical for me to plan my weeks. Every single day I have to be able to know what am I doing from this time to this time, because it does get very draining, especially with assignments. So the down part of online school is that now lecturers have decided they will give us papers every other day. So that, so of course that has to involve a lot of planning, because also I still have to plan for my shows and still shoot my shows during the week. Yeah. So a lot of planning helps. And also take a break. There's just one day of the week that I will not do anything. It's really important for your mental health. So at least have 6 days where you're doing your thing, plan very well. That's what I've done. And then on Sundays, honestly, sometimes I don't even know what life is. I'm just there. So that's the balance. Okay. Now, right now, I'm not able to have people on my team constantly, but we do have Fearless correspondents who are in different areas in Nairobi, and what they do, if we have a topic, for example, tomorrow we'll be talking about criminalization of the slums. What they do is now talk about how they think about how that affects them, in their different communities. So that is how I can help. Yeah. Then with Fearless, some of the challenges I've had, I think the biggest one I would say is the financial part, because it is solely my show. So that means I'm the one that funds it. And like I said, I have a team that has to, eat, that has to have their salo, because when we shoot, I'm not expecting guys to come there and they're just looking at me. You also want your team to feel motivated, right? So I think that has to be the biggest part of it. But nonetheless, it's a very, very great journey. I'm learning so much. But also you can check out my page at Tracy_Wanjura_ on Instagram. I did do a video on some of the lessons I've learned throughout my Fearless journey.
Okay. Yeah. Good answer. The next question is to Susan, and I'm just going to combine a few that are asking about what the bank is doing or some of the things that small businesses do require. And there's a question here from Mary Mwikali. She asked, for a bank to sponsor a small business, what are the key requirements? And then before you answer that, there's also a question from Shali Monchari. She asked, how does the bank support starting businesses, and how can I apply for such support, if any? I think both of them are the same questions. What are the requirements?
Okay, very good question. So Ideally, when you're a startup, I think you need to figure out, do you want to start with debt or do you want to start with some money of your own? Because remember, you don't know if what you're going to do is going to succeed or not. And here you are, you have somebody that you have to think about that you need to pay at the end of the month. And unfortunately for us as banks, the money that we have belongs to shareholders. Of course, we have regulation with the central bank. And therefore, it's not patient. You know, I can't quite push it.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I do welcome. I did hear a comment there around trying to get an investor. And sometimes, like Terian said, you do not need so much money to start a business. But this is the good part. You can come to us based on the experience that we already have. And remember, we see businesses every day. When you come and talk to us at that point, we're able to direct you to the right places to go. Because remember, there's a whole process for you to plan. And maybe there's an area you didn't quite think about, you know? Because as an entrepreneur, you start something as a passion, only to realize, I need to think about how this product is going to get to there, which is where my customer is, you know? So we can help you with some of that journey and then also joining some of the programs that we already have. Already the Absa Ready to Work program is a fantastic program because it teaches you the 7 P's about starting your business. And you can get that online if you register for the course. So we give you the skills and walk you through that journey to be able to get to a place where now you can access funding. So in terms of accessing funding, currently we ask for 12 months bank statement. We really want to see the ups and downs in the business, understand if there is any seasonality that we need to take account of. Because sometimes we don't say you have to make a monthly payment. Like if you're in agriculture, there are cycles when you don't have money. Because the season is off. So we can give you quarterly payments, like for schools. If you're running a school, we give quarterly payments. When school starts, that's when the payment comes. So that's what we do with the 12 months bank statements. Currently, we are implementing the Government of Kenya Guarantee Scheme. We are one of the banks that was shortlisted for that fund. And they require you to be tax compliant. They require you to have registered your business. And I mean, those are some of the things that the government has already instituted as requirements for funding your business. But other than that, come to us and tell us, this is what I want to do. And as a result of what I'm going to do, and this money that you want to give me, this is how it will make a return and make a change in my business. Sometimes I find the entrepreneurs haven't thought through the whole loop. So we're like thinking together, which is okay, but then those are some of the things that we can support you as an entrepreneur as you start that journey.
Thank you for that. And without wasting time, my next question is to you, Jesse. And there's someone here who says, let's see, which one do we pick? Eric Okoth says, major challenges for me as a youth, despite having ideas, is on raising capital. A fresh graduate from school with no job at hand, how can I raise capital? And then the next question that is there, which I think is what you can mostly dwell on, is can one start a business without having someone that is already successful in the business you want to establish and make it successful?
Okay, thank you, Lucy. I think number one, in terms of the capital, I think that goes back a bit to what Terian had said a while back in terms of being able to start small and manage your expectations. So if you are starting out, it is really critical that you look at the bare minimum. Okay, the bare minimum in terms of what you need to start. And again, don't go and get large offices, don't go and try hire a big number of staff, try and work with the networks that you already have to be able to just get your business up and running. So I think, so one critical aspect is just really trying to manage your expectations and working small. But whichever way, you will still need capital. So my advice, in terms of that was also, no man is an island, so try and leverage a lot on your networks. So on your network, so one way to do that is perhaps joining an association. So I happen to be a representative of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and we do have a youth in business department whereby we help and bring young people in business together just to help them, find opportunities. So one of the things we do is bring together, people from various financial institutions, VC firms, and other things like that. People within those circles who can be able to help fund startups. So so join an association, join Ready to Work, for example, which also brings together entrepreneurs. Go and join a hub somewhere. Okay, so in a nutshell, just try and join a sort of network of young entrepreneurs where you can be able to help build upon the networks, and that will enable you to perhaps, get in touch with people who will actually come in and put money in your enterprise. So that's one of the biggest, I think, advice I'd give. Because personally, I think I've gained a lot from joining various associations that I'm engaged in. And I think that has been able to help build my network, help me find business partners. And on top of that, on top of the network building, you may not need to have somebody who's a shareholder in your business who's had more experience, but you can also bring in an advisor. Okay, so a lot of businesses will have something called a board of advisors, and a lot of times those are people who are a bit more experienced in that sector, and you don't have to pay them anything. You just have to look for people who are actually really passionate about your business. So just leverage on your networks and look for people, because you'll be surprised. There are a lot of people willing to give of their time and energy. And I personally, for example, do have a number of enterprises I work with, and being able to give my time and energy just to be able to help, give my knowledge, bring in my network experience so that, those businesses can be able to scale and grow. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Last two questions, luckily, goes to you, Terian. And the first one is, hello, could Terian tell us more about white labeling? And the next one is, from Hemdan Karaoke, how do you set on a business if you have too many ideas in mind?
They say an entrepreneur's biggest problem is ideas. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure all of them, who are sitting in front of me, sometimes you can't sleep. You're like, I had this idea yesterday. Today I want to start that. So you have to be very focused. Yeah. So discipline and focus. And actually, if you have 3, 4, 5 ideas, sit down with yourself, first of all, and go through it keenly, write down everything you can about these ideas. Then narrow it down. What are you most passionate about? What does the market need? Do you have the necessary skills to actually take this business to the next level? So I would say, just explore, have as many as you can, but zoom down to what you're most passionate about and what the market needs. Because you can be passionate about something that the market does not need at all. And then the other question was on white labeling or private labeling. And that's huge internationally. There's even, I think now, on Amazon, where I don't know if you must be in a certain place in the world, but you can actually create your own brand without having to, hire a biochemist, and all those things that you need, let's say, to start a skincare business, which is what I know. So basically what you do with that, for instance, you'd go to either the Chinese websites, the Alibabas, where you could find white label or private label or OEM providers, but you can also find others. And there's, Google is your friend. Just go and find out what do I want to do, who can do it for me at the cheapest price possible, what will it cost to bring this into the country, what are the kind of standards etc required by KEBS to make sure that I get this in. And it's not difficult. It might sound difficult, but it actually isn't. So just start reading about it. It is huge. You can actually be in Kenya and you're doing T-shirts in the US selling to the American market. You can be in Uganda, you're making skincare, but you're selling it to the North American market. So the world is your oyster, as they say, and technology has made it possible for us to run businesses from any part of the world and have clients in any part of the world. So you, especially as young people, I think if I was in your place, I would be, super, super much farther than I would be right now, because I think your opportunities are actually a lot higher than those of us who started, many years ago. So read, go online, and find out what options are available for you from the private label and white labeling space.
Okay, and that's it.